speaker, Laurie MacGregor. She is with the Green Party. I live in Kvinesdal, and my really good friend Frode, he's the first representative for the Green Party in Kvinesdal. And the reason that he kind of got involved was through the website. It was a really cool website, the best website that any party has, he says, and you hear that from a lot of people. So it's really cool that it's on WordPress. It's built by Decode, so a lot of cool stuff happening. I think it's very exciting to see WordPress get into even the political realm here in Norway. So round of applause for Laurie.
I'm here from the Green Party of Norway, and because we're speaking in English, I'm assuming that maybe not everybody in the room knows about the Green Party of Norway, so I'm going to do this for beginners, and I'm not going to try and sell you our politics, right? So that's very important to say. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we worked our website to be user-focused and to run an election campaign during 2015, because that was the year of the local elections in Norway when the party really hit a massive national breakthrough. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how we did that. Super. A little bit about me. I'm head of digital. That's an interesting job because sometimes I have 18 staff and other times I'm just me. At the moment it's just me. But when we run an election campaign, we scale up. So what we've done is we've worked a digital rig that can be flexed up and flexed down according to which year we're in. Right now I work alone. Next year we'll be 18, maybe 20, maybe 25 on the staff, and that's really exciting. If anybody wants to contact me after this, my contact details are here. Just get in touch if there's anything that you'd like to hear more about. So just a very, very brief about who we are so you can understand the scale of this. As I say, most of the time we work alone. We're a tiny, tiny party. We have 10 paid staff in Norway, which is nothing compared to the people we're trying to steal votes from, basically. We are today represented in 268 municipalities in Norway. We weren't a year ago. A year ago we were represented in somewhere between 70 and 90. So that gives you an idea of the growth that we've been through in the last 12 months. We're represented in all 19 regions of the country. We have 8,500 members. Those are 8,500 voters, and that's an interesting number. I'll come back to that later. And we are growing fast. We're the party in Norway that grows fastest in terms of numbers and a pure percentage of members year on year at the moment. So this is a movement. It's very much a grassroots movement, but we don't have any money yet. So that this is the framework in which we're operating. So just to give you an idea, for those of you who don't follow politics in Norway, this gives you an idea of what went on last year. We like to say that we won the election, but of course we didn't, because we got 4.2%, and everybody knows that you don't win an election with 4.2%. The interesting number here is 3.4, an increase of 3.4% from 2011. That's the biggest increase since the last time Norwegians went to the local vote and voted for us. So we went from 1.9% to 4.2% nationally in 4 years, and that makes us the party that had the largest increase, and that we're very proud of. So how did we do it? Because we don't have any money, because we only have 10 people nationally, and that's really hard work. Well, I'm going to show you a little bit about how we work the website. I'd love to stand here and say that we run a kind of really fancy American Bernie Sanders style or Hillary Clinton style Obama-inspired campaign, you know, where when you open our website, the front page has been designed to appeal to you according to your postcode and what you voted last time and what you eat for breakfast and how much money you earn, because that's the way it works in the US. That's the way American websites are actually allowed to operate. Unfortunately, in Norway, we have something called the data protection laws, and we can't do this kind of stuff, and that makes life as a pollster very difficult, but it makes life as a human being much, much more comfortable and safe. So I'm not going to complain about this, but I can't show you an Obama campaign because we're restricted by law. So what do? Well, we use the tools we have available, and our digital rig, as I say, has to be able to be scaled up, but it has to be able to be scaled down again afterwards. It's very WordPress based, and it's Facebook driven. Our WordPress site wouldn't work without a social component. So we rely very heavily on Facebook to drive traffic in. And I'll tell you a little bit more about how we do that afterwards. We run a lot of Twitter, we do a lot of Instagram, but as traffic driving motors, they really don't score next to Facebook. So it's Facebook and WordPress that are the most important for us. And for me, in 2015, the magic number was 120,000. And I'd love to ask if anybody knows why 120,000 was the magic number. It's because 120,000 votes is 5% of the national vote during local elections in Norway. It's a very small country. So we were going for, with 8,500 friends, we were going for 120,000 votes. And for me, I'm one of those people who has to have this mathematically on a wall somewhere so I can work out, oh God, well, we need to find 112,000 votes somewhere else then. All right, how are we going to do that? Everything last year was all about the number 120,000. We measured everything in magnitudes of 120,000. So that was fun. So how do you win an election? Well, to start with, you've got to stand to be voted for. You've got to stand for election. You've got to run for election. Before people can vote for you, you've got to get your name on the slip of paper. And how do you get your name on the slip of paper? You can't just show up 2 days before, go to the council and go, hey, I want people to vote for me. That's not the way it works in Norway. In Norway, if you want to run for election, you got to be prepared. 6 months before the election date, you need a list of at least 7 people who are prepared to have their names on the voting slip, potentially be voted for, and end up as elected representatives. So you need a list of at least 7 people that are prepared to be voted for by people they've never met before, and then represent their votes. And as I say, just over a year ago, we were represented in between 70 and 90 municipalities in Norway. Not enough municipalities. We have 421 municipalities in Norway. So our first task last year, it wasn't about getting votes at all. In fact, the most important task last year had got nothing to do with appealing to voters. The first thing we had to do was appeal to candidates. We had to find people who were prepared to run for election on behalf of us. How do you do that with a website? Well, it's all about social. And it's all about making things very, very, very relevant for people locally. So to start with, we completely scrapped the webpage the way it used to be, and we filled it with a very empty map. Now this is the way it looked the day after the election, once we came in. But if you can imagine the day before, the day we started asking for candidates for the election lists, this map was very white. This map represents the 421 municipalities in Norway where we are trying to find people who are prepared to stand for election for us. And our message was very clear. We need your help to colour this map green. And every time we got a new local division of the party established, we filled in that little square on the map in a light green colour. And every time we found 7 people in that municipality who were prepared to stand for election, run for election, we turned that little green square darker green. And slowly, over the first few months of 2015, we managed to get that map ever greener. So we spread the green. The green got more green and the green got darker green as we got more people on board. And every time you hit refresh, you could see the numbers changing. So there was a bit of gamification in here. What we have here is we have a field. The first, like front and center, the only thing we were asking for is find your municipality. Where do you live? Search. So basically, it's a very user focused. I mean, what's happening where you are? And when you hit that button, you get a real-time status of what's going on in your municipality. This is Lørenskog. And before, this is obviously the result after the election, but while we were still looking for candidates, Lørenskog, we said, okay, this is what we got in the last election. This is what we're looking for in this election. We do have a local division of our party available to vote in this area, but we still need your help. And this is how you can help us. So 3 massive buttons at the bottom and some real-time statistics as to what's actually happening where you live. First and most important, donate. The button, bottom left. Donate takes you here. Because as I said to start with, we don't have any money, we need some money. So we had to fundraise this whole campaign as well online. So what happens when you press donate? Straight into Stripe. I don't know how many people use Stripe here, But Stripe is, so yeah, some hands in the air. I hope you're as happy as I am with Stripe. Stripe pays my salary, which is fantastic. It didn't a year ago, but it does now. We integrated this in the website, straight in, give us your credit card details, thank you for donating. And the minute you've donated, obviously you end up on our mailing list, you're offered a place on our mailing list where we will then follow you up and ask you if you'd like to be a member. So that was nice. If you decide not to press the donate button, or maybe you've already pressed the donate button, the next button at the bottom is become a member. Of course, we need more members because we think members are voters. Members are also great ambassadors for the party. So the membership form comes up here, and once you fill in the membership form, the things happen that you expect to happen. You get a thank you email and wonderful, you're welcome to the party. We'll send you an email with lots of stuff to do, which is super. But something else happens when you become a member, and this is where the magic happens. You end up with a thank you. We do a postcode pickup, so that everybody gets a unique postcode themed welcome page. So this was welcome as a member in Oslo because it's identified the postcode that was given on the membership form as being an Oslo postcode. But we had a unique URL for every postcode in Norway so that we could thank people very, very locally. We could also follow up and fill this thank you page with important information for people per postcode. So we really boiled it down to the 3-4 streets on which you live. This is what's happening closest to you in the time running up. This is where the whole campaign started and finished. Because here we can then say, in Oslo we have a list, okay? We've got enough people on our electoral list, so we are standing for election, that's fabulous. But would you like to volunteer? Would you like to donate? Why don't you come along and meet us at the library tomorrow night? All of these kinds of things. And this is, I say, again, a unique URL that we can update, that our local divisions can update, keep people informed. We can also drive traffic straight into this page if we want, so that we can really get people to do exactly what we want them to do in their postcode. So there was an enormous amount of power here. In municipalities where we didn't have a list, the first thing you were met here was, welcome as a member. Would you please stand for election for us? We need more names on our list. And there was a lovely Facebook photo of somebody who's the local contact in your postcode, maybe somebody you know, hopefully somebody you know. Smiling face, eye contact, and contact information. So that you could make contact and say, hi, okay, all right, I could be the last name on the list if you like. I'm prepared to help. There were lots of ways we could use this, and the ways these postcode pages were used around the country varied very much according to what the needs were in different districts. So it was a flexible and very powerful tool. What we were also able to do is the deadline for submitting our voter lists approached, and we could see, oh God, we still don't have enough names in Enebakk, you know? We still don't have enough names in Surdal. Okay, shit, what are we going to do? Okay, well, what we can start doing is then, this is where the Facebook thing comes in. Who's going to stand for election for us in Enebakk? We've asked all our members. We still don't have enough members. All right, fine. What about friends of friends of members? What about their friends again? Okay, what about all of the organic farmers in Enebakk? Okay, what about the cyclists in Enebakk? Facebook is a very powerful micro-targeting tool so that we can actually, for absolutely no money at all, like 50 kroner, 100 kroner, micro-target adverts on Facebook to the unique local postcode URL page. Please stand for election for us. We need your help. This is why. So we could go out, we could target this kind of advert on Facebook to the people who we thought were most likely to maybe be convinced or convincible to stand for election for us. Through these adverts, we finished our lists in lots of places we actually didn't think we'd be able to. This tool allowed us to run for election in all kinds of parts of Norway that we hadn't even thought we'd be able to manage. So this was really surprising. And as the first list started ticking in, other parts of Norway picked up and went, oh, shit, tell me how you're doing with Facebook advertising. How does this work? And the ball started rolling, and we got more local divisions involved. So this was really a very exciting, very dynamic process for us all. And it turns out that this was something that nobody else in Norway had done politically. So we ended up making rather a lot of noise in the media about it. We got a lot of attention for it. The results were, of course, a local, very personalised focus for the whole, would you like to stand for election? And obviously a secondary effect of running a campaign called Would You Like to Stand for Election for Us means that we appear like, we appear to the general voting public as a very open, very accessible party. We're not closed. If you believe in our things, you can come and stand for election for us. It's just about filling in a form on the website. So this was a very, very personalised focus, and we got a lot of positive feedback for it. It meant that we grew our audience to friends of friends very, very quickly. And as we grew our audience from friends to friends and then friends of their friends, we saw that both the reach on Facebook, our followers, the traffic through Twitter, obviously the traffic through the website, that goes without saying, but also our numbers of members increased rapidly. And this is just the kind of positive energy you want at the beginning of an election year. But at the end of the day, it gave us the ability to run for election in 4 times as many municipalities in Norway as we did 4 years before. So we quadrupled the number of places we were even possible to vote for in 4 years, which was absolutely insane. It gave us, for the first time in our history, a national election campaign in a local election, and that was really great. It was champagne. I can only say that it was quite astonishing. What happened was then the newspapers got involved. NRK came, and this is me on Dagsrevyen on the main the 7 o'clock news on NRK1, the main broadcasting channel. They actually made a 10-minute feature about how we used our website just to generate list candidates. So that was really exciting. So what happens next? Then obviously now we're standing for election. Now we're running for election. That's awesome. We had to completely change our strategy because now we've got all of these candidates. The website no longer has to appeal to candidates anymore. The website and our entire campaigning, our entire communications has to completely change gear and move from a would you be our friend, please come and work for us, help us, to hey look, we're running for election, would you like to vote for us? So the target audience from being potential candidates moved completely to be potential voters. And that's a completely different ballgame. It's a completely different target audience. And it's a much larger target audience. Now we're looking for the 120,000. Yeah. So this required a complete facelift of the website and the way it worked on the backside and all of the different methods we used to drive traffic in. So we needed to take 2 weeks of Easter, come back, and then begin with blank ark, a clean sheet, as we say in Norwegian. The focus now could have been, and this is where lots of the other parties went wrong. The focus now could have been, let's take the message back into a national campaign. Let's turn our national website back into a national broadcasting channel. And that's where I think a lot of people, and it doesn't have to just be in politics, that's where a lot of people make a mistake. We were still running a local election. So how does a national website run a local election and appeal to local voters when you only have one front page? Well, to start with, we had to stop just having one front page. We had to have 268 front pages in addition to the main one. So we spent all summer building local websites, local WordPress installations for every single one of our local divisions all across Norway. So 268 municipalities, 268 websites. It was a bit of a nightmare actually. It took a lot of work, and it freaked some people out, and it took the summer holidays, and some people had already gone on holiday and came back and were just like, oh god, now I have a WordPress site, awesome. But that was fun. We just did it. We didn't have time to think about it, we just did it. And the whole idea of giving all of our local divisions a website was precisely so that we could get people from the main site out to very local, very relevant, very accurate information where they are as fast as possible. So national recognition of the MDG name means that people were still, and Google was still, sending 90% of traffic through our front page, through our national front page first. But then, and of course, once we've got our national front page first, we still have this button. These are our main issues, read what we care about. But here's the button, find your municipality here. And that will take you into a motor that looks very much like the map motor that we use to get the list candidates. But it would help you to come straight to your local website as fast as possible. I'll give you information about, okay, there's a meeting here, we need more volunteers there, you can support the campaign here, our candidates are these people, this is their contact information. This is a matter that's really important to us. We want to save our local forest boundary, these kinds of things. So really get the traffic out to the districts as fast as possible. But we use the front page quite cynically as well. I mean, we didn't want our national candidates, we didn't want our national spokespeople on the front page. We wanted very local candidates on the front page as well. And so I would say that we cynically chose our handsomest candidates. That's not what we did, but we had a photo shoot where we tried to get as many of our local candidates that stood to do a decent election in the different regions of Norway. We did a little photo shoot with them and tried to get them positioned in a place where a responsive website would have their eyes in a good position, regardless of device. And it's surprisingly difficult, actually, to get people to stand and look and frame them in a way that it will work on all devices as a portrait photo. And we ended up with 19 or 20, and we thought, awesome, well that covers the country. So we'll have people like, this is Mikael from Troms, but we'll have candidates from all over Norway. Throw them up on the front page, and we'll do a geolocator so that if you dial us up from an IP address in Troms, you'll be presented with Mikael on our national front page. But if you dial us up in Finnmark, you'll see a Barbara. And we thought that was awesome. We thought we were really like masters of the universe when we came up with that idea. And I'm not sure if Christian's in the audience, but Christian will tell you that we knocked ourselves out over it and it didn't work. People were dialing up from the south and they were getting the northern candidates. They were dialing up from the east and they were getting the western candidates. No idea why that didn't work, but it was embarrassing and it really was a fail. So I don't know if there's anybody in the room who's really good at geolocating. We'd love to hear from you if you want to help us for 2017, because we obviously need somebody. We need some help with this. We're going to try it again next year because there's an election next year too. So we'd love to hear some tips. What we ended up doing was we just chose the best looking people and we just randomized the front page so that every time you got the front page, you got a different local candidate. And by God, they were good looking candidates. So I don't know, maybe it was a better result. I don't know. So that was alright. So that was the way we rigged the front page, and that was the way we got people out to the districts. One more word about the district web pages. When you've got 268 web pages in municipalities around the country, and people who are running those web pages have never, ever logged into WordPress before. WordPress is wonderful because you don't need to have worked in WordPress before to just understand how it works. That's one thing. But B, you need a web page that's flexible enough that the people who really want to fill it with information and have a dynamic page and really use all the functions can do that. But that if you end up with somebody going, oh no, I've got an hour to do this, and then it has to work for the rest of the campaign without me touching it. That it can be rigged that way too. So we worked really closely with Decode to try and find a flexible enough but strict enough front page, so that people could go bananas if they wanted to, and if they didn't go bananas, it didn't look like we've got a bunch of people who don't know how to run a website. It's interesting. It was quite controversial trying to find that golden middle way, and we've had a lot of praise and a lot of criticism internally in the party for the decisions we've made. So I'm not sure if we're gonna do some stuff with the setup before 2019. We probably will. It'll be interesting to see how we land with it as people get more familiar with WordPress, I suppose. Of course, throughout, there's still the donate now button, and the closer you get to the campaign top, the more interested people suddenly become in supporting the campaign. So on the local pages, on the national pages, at the bottom of every news article, at the bottom of every newsletter, everything we did, and very regularly also on Facebook. Donate, support the campaign. Donate, support the campaign. With silly little sentences like, we don't own a thing. We've run out of t-shirts, you know. We've only got bread and butter for lunch. You know, these kinds of things. We'd love to paint our office for the election party, but we can't afford the paint, you know. Making it very, very concrete for people. And as fast as possible into Stripe, and from Stripe straight into the newsletter. And then keep pushing that newsletter with more things you can do. Would you like to volunteer? Would you like to become a member? Have you voted? If you voted, tell 3 friends to vote, all of this kind of stuff. So it was just pushing people further and further into the campaign, all the way through. And then at the very top of the campaign, the last 5 days, there was this article which we published in 5 different languages, the European languages that have the strongest Green parties. So, in addition to Norway, Danish, Swedish, German, English, and French, I think. And we then ran a very targeted Facebook advert campaign, 5 reasons to vote Green today. So that, assuming that we'd had a lot, we could see, analytics saw that we had had a lot of traffic. We were approaching 120,000. So I was assuming that roughly 4% a week before the election date, roughly 4% of the Norwegian voting population had been through our website by that time. It was time to tell people a second thing, and it was really like the big ask, the final thing. If you're going to do one thing, you're going to vote Green, and these are the 5 reasons why. So we pushed this out in Norwegian and in 5 European languages to people living in Norway with those native languages, and within particular target groups. So again, cyclists, animal welfare enthusiasts, vegans, organic farmers, all that kind of stuff. Really like a final push to tell people this is why you should and must vote Green on Monday. And we ended up here, of course, still all of the same, all of the engagement buttons, so donate, get the newsletter and become a member. But in the last week there's a new button, and it was vote Green, find your local polling booth here. And that was rigged up to connect to Valg.no, which is the Norwegian national polling booth website. Find according to, on Google Maps, where the place you can vote is located. So this was really the top of the campaign, and we were obviously following the numbers all the way, following the numbers on Facebook, and following the numbers on analytics all the way, just to make sure that we were kind of on track, and we were, you know, like this is probably the first time I've run a campaign that actually met its targets, which was really, really nice. We were looking for the 120,000 voters. On the night of the election, we hit 121,000 voters, and I jumped onto the table and danced around and knocked a few bottles of water over and got other people annoyed. But the 121,000 was really awesome. Once we had, and that's unique visitors in the 6 weeks running up to the election campaign. In a similar 6-week period, we would normally have about 25,000 visitors. So getting that figure up to 121 was really very symbolic for us. The Stripe integration got us 250,000 kroner on its own. We run other fundraising campaigns, parallel fundraising campaigns, also with SMS, also using other tools at the same time. So the total funds raised was actually rather a lot more than this. From the website alone during these 6 weeks, 250,000 kroner just from having that button available, which to me was astonishing. Astonishing. The reach on Facebook was 3.4 million, which gives you an idea of the conversion rate. I mean, 121,000 unique from 3.4 million. All right, it's not that much, but we were amazed about the reach. It was fantastic. At the end of the day, it boils down to what we got in the elections. It was 4.2% in local elections, 5 in the regionals. And we had a massive, massive grassroots support all over the place, and a lot of people coming up and going, oh, thanks for the website, you made it so much easier for us. So I think we would have done very, very well without WordPress and Facebook, but I don't think we would be where we are today without the tools that we've been using. And it's been extremely exciting to use these tools to get as many people on board as possible. And I just can't wait to do it next year. I've got no idea how we're going to do it next year. Now we've held so many talks like this one, I'm expecting that all of the competition will do it this way next year, so we're going to have to move it on. So maybe we'll talk in 2 years' time and I'll be able to tell you how we and maybe Decode, if we're still friends, I hope we're still friends, come up with something new the next time we do this. Thank you very much.
Does anyone have a question?
What do you think about the Cancer Society in Norway's approach to hiding the donate buttons and focusing on the content before donating? They have an increase in 88% of donators from that strategy.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the way the Cancer Society did it, and have spoken a lot to Beate about how they run that, how they made that strategic change. I think the Cancer Society has been asking for money for a long time to start with, so that people haven't been surprised to see that button after they've been given the information. I think also the Cancer Society's website is very correctly rigged to give people information about possibly the largest existential crisis that can meet a person, which is maybe my life is in danger. So for them to put the information first and then ask for donations once you've given people information is right for the audience, and the audience is also sort of mentally primed for that button when it happens. For us, we didn't have time to run a two-stage process. We needed the money much more than we needed people's patience. So we just filled our website with the button. And whether or not we'll move it to more subtle or more hidden places in the future will depend very much on how on our donor base and on how people interact with us in the future. For me, a visit length of 2 minutes. Yeah, on the Cancer site is much longer, of course, because people are getting high on information. It's not like that when we're trying to sell them politics. So I've got to get people in the first 2 minutes, or I don't have their cash. And this year we were so strapped for cash, I had to make that choice. I haven't had any negative feedback, and I think the button is, you don't have to press the button. We haven't forced people, you got to go through this or cross it away in order to get the image. So it's not a barrier to information, but it's just everywhere.
Have you seen you guys taking the lead somewhere here now, and other people following, or other sites on WordPress?
I don't know. You know what? I haven't had that conversation. We don't have a very established sort of web editor communication ring. It's one of the things I'd like to establish, because I think there's a lot we could learn from the other parties too. And the other parties have been doing this for a lot longer than we have. So I don't think by any means that we have set the standard. We've definitely done something different. And I know that we've had a lot of attention for that, but I also think likewise that there's a lot we can learn from our Arbeiderpartiet, for example, the Labour Party, who have this ultra sleek approach to involvement and volunteering. So I don't know. It would be interesting to see. I know that there's a couple of parties that are upgrading their websites in advance of 2017. I'm unable to comment about whether or not we're going to do that.
Last one for me is, what was the biggest pain point? Actually, say if you had one being on WordPress.
Pain point?
Yeah, what issues did you run into? Or what's something that you could say that you could call out right now that was, say, holding you back using WordPress?
Yeah, I can say that from a professional point of view. Having 268 guys around Norway running each their own installation. WordPress, I think, is so well known as like a sort of start it up yourself blog platform for a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have sat on their own and done their own website for a small business locally. I know there's a lot of people in this room who work with that all of the time. A lot of people who work on a very small scale, who think they know WordPress, who are using an installation that's from years ago, and who, when you kind of roll out a national WordPress strategy, are not necessarily keen on being part of it because they associate WordPress with being different or being unique. So trying to get national a national team of individualists to do one thing in the same way on 268 different sites, I think is more challenging on a platform like WordPress than it would be on something like EpiServer, which everybody just assumes is just corporate. We have a lot of people around the country who have a lot of experience with real small-time, individualistic, crazy, of 100,000 plugins that haven't been updated and security breaches and all that you can't do that if you're running a national campaign with people's credit cards. No? So that I would say has been a challenge. But
for past experience, it takes one time. Like you guys have proven that, right? That's not going to happen the next time you guys do it. You guys have done it. People realize that your guys' party is on WordPress on 268 websites, so it takes people to do this for the first time to kind of get over that mindset or those kind of
I think the next party to do it will do it a lot better, and it will be really fun to follow them.